The internet is full of content of every type imaginable. Even local brick and mortar tiny businesses are content creators. They're making blogs, they're making videos, and they are driving tons of traffic to their website. So with all of this content, how are you supposed to stand out? How do you break through the noise? I'm Torie Mathis, longtime entrepreneur, marketing agency CEO, and the host of the Smart AF Show. And I am here with 10 ways that you can be unique online and you can make your content stand out. So let's get started. So first is to find your voice. With your audience in mind, create a specific way of writing, of speaking, a way of creating content that is just you. Think of your style, think of the tones, think of the words that you use, and even your unique branding. All of these are going to be part of your voice. So somebody who does a really great job of this is Gary Vaynerchuk. If you're familiar with Gary V, you know that he is authentically him. He found his unique style and his tone way back when he started working for his dad's liquor store. And that style has carried him all the way through today to creating VaynerMedia, among a lot of other companies. And you have probably seen him online because he is a content creation guy. And he is now one of the most sought after speakers and the go-to expert for content creation and social media marketing. Now, some people might call him, a little rough around the edges, but Gary is not afraid to speak from the heart, which includes his excitement and a lot of use of the F word. And he is often asked, why do you feel the need to curse so much? And he has said every time that that's him. That is the way that he communicates, and that's the way that he shows how much he cares for things. And honestly, he finds that it's not a problem. Gary has found his unique voice, and he is not going to water it down or bend to anyone else's whim. So how can you find your unique voice so that you can stand out like Gary? So how can you take action on finding your unique voice? Now, I'm not telling you to go curse everybody out in order to stand out, but you do have to find your voice, your style, your own tone, and that thing that makes you uniquely you. So next to stand out is learn how to get personal. You can share details from your life so that your audience can get to know you in a personal way so that you can start to have a little bit deeper of a relationship with them. Now, don't go overboard on talking solely about yourself all of the time. You've got to find a nice mix of this, of talking about your business and what you sell, and then also giving a little bit of details about you. When you pepper in these little details, it is going to connect you with your audience even more. Remember that people want to find things that they have in common with people. So once you start to share details and they have these similar details, it's going to make them remember you. It is going to make you stand out. Now, Mel Robbins is someone who does a fantastic job of this online. If you don't know Mel, she is a best-selling author of the 5-Second Rule, and she is a great example of sharing personal details of her journey. A little bit about her kids, a little bit about her marriage, and a little more about her exercise routine are all sprinkled in with her motivational content. Whereas there are some content creators out there that are leaving every detail out, and then you have others that are telling way too much. Mel is a great example of finding this balance. She is not just dishing about the good stuff. She shares about her struggles and her challenges, like a canceled book deal or even struggles with burnout. And this all leaves her audience more connected with her and riding the wave of her life right there with her. So how can you take action and get a little bit more personal? How can you sprinkle in some details of your life that aligns with your brand and your audience and allows you to connect with them just a little bit more and be a little more memorable and stand out? Next, you can learn to be a storyteller. Learn how to tell stories and allow these to be the center of all of your content. Each one of your stories is unique, will help you make your content more engaging and more effective. Your stories will leave your audience wanting to hear more. Now, somebody I follow online that does a really great job of this is the artist 1000. 1000 also known as Peter, is an artist and a muralist that has really found his voice through video and his YouTube channel. Many artists share their artistic journey and their process, but few do it with the style and storytelling that 1000 does. His process, his challenges, his personality, and his quirky artistic style is guided through emotion and music, ups and downs, twists and turns, leading you further into his artistic journey and wanting to support him every single step of the way. So much so that his first Kickstarter that he launched for his custom illustrated playing cards, Vivid Kingdoms, crushed records for the largest playing card campaign ever, bringing in more than $2.1 million. And he did this all through documenting his process, involving his audience, and his fantastic storytelling. So how can you take action with storytelling? How can you make your content even more engaging and get your audience more involved through storytelling? What can you document? What can you share of your journey from beginning to end? And how can you get your audience to ride the wave of emotion and be left more connected to you and ready to hear more? Next, get specific. How can you narrow down to a specific segment of your market that others aren't speaking to? When you do this, you can focus on really deep diving into smaller, more specific, more focused topics that others just have not covered before. When I think about this, I think about Sean Cannell and Think Media. Sean and his Think Media team are all about helping creative entrepreneurs grow their influence on YouTube. And if you go to any of their platforms, especially on YouTube, but they're also on iTunes, on Facebook, on Instagram, you are going to find that they are super hyper specific about what they speak about. Sean has really honed in his message, but it hasn't always been that way. Sean has shared quite a bit about his journey. And when he started, he was far from specific. Videos on tech, on cooking, on travel, movie reviews, and even a funny admission from him that he is not going to be entertaining or funny are all part of his beginning. But his beginnings saw very little growth. But once he tightened his content up and started to get very specific, speaking to one audience about one thing, the views, the attention, and the influence really began to grow. So how can you take action and get more specific? First, you really have to ask yourself, are you being too broad in your content creation? How can you tighten things up like Sean did? How can you be known as the guy in your industry? Next, you could be the know-it-all. How can you be the first one in your industry to cover news or cover up-and-coming topics? When you subscribe to industry newsletters and podcasts and other content creators, you can find all of the up-to-date information about your industry, and you can become the standout person or the know-it-all that people come to when they want to know something. So if you follow a lot of other content creators and other news sources from your industry, it's going to give you more ideas about how to create content that really stands out. So someone who does a really great job of this is Brock Johnson. If you don't know Brock Johnson, him and his mom Shalene are the go-to experts on Instagram. Want to know anything new about Instagram? They are where to go. Brock's highly popular reels have helped catapult him into extreme popularity on the IG, and they fully have their finger on the pulse of what is happening on Instagram at any time. New features, new changes to the algorithm. If you want to know something, Brock is the one to get the information from. So how can you take action and be the know-it-all in your industry? By really focusing in on your industry and following other content creators, you can end up being the go-to in your market, in your niche, or even in your city, because being the first and being the know-it-all can help you stand out. Another way to really stand out is to really figure out how to brainstorm. You need to set aside time for your idea generation. Use various brainstorm techniques. Even get others involved so that you can get so many more ideas out. Then, once you brain dump all of that stuff out, you can start to go through all of those ideas, even all the bad ones, and really find ones that are great, unique ideas that are going to help you stand out. So someone that does a really great job of this is Zach King. If you don't know Zach, he is a magician and a YouTuber that was really made popular by short videos on Vine of his amazing magic. You can probably find him on every single video channel. I watched a recent interview with him about his content process, and he talked about that he's not the one that's coming up with all of these ideas. In fact, he meets with his over 20-person team, and they all brainstorm the ideas that they're going to do. They all get Post-it notes out, and everybody comes up with lots of ideas, puts them all on a wall, and then everybody gets a couple of votes on which ideas they're going to work out next. This isn't just him coming up with ideas on his own. He has really honed in the brainstorming technique that works for them and their team so that their ideas are unique, and trust me, they are definitely standout. So how can you take action with brainstorming? How can you maximize your brainstorming techniques so that you can get the most ideas out? I can tell you for our show, when I get Sean involved and we really start to just brain dump all the ideas that we can, even just talking about the bad ones, that's how you really start to get more and more ideas going. And that's where we find our best ideas. So how can you do that? How can you really work out your brainstorming technique to get the most ideas out? Next, you can be controversial. Usually, everybody in a niche is talking about the same things and taking the exact same angle. It might be true in your niche too. How can you take something that's common in your industry and create content from another position? How can you be a little controversial and really grab your audience's attention? I think about JP Sears. You may have seen one of his videos on your feed. You know, the one with the hilarious, muscly, strawberry redhead guy poking fun of pop culture, society, politics. Yes, there are other freedom-loving comedians out there, but JP definitely takes a different approach with his style, his type of humor, and his point of view that really makes him stand out. We're talking racking up 500 million views stand out. So how can you take action and really stand out in your industry? How can you say something a little contrary, a little controversial? In a world of vanilla, how can you take a different angle? Because adding another angle is how you can grab more attention. So next is unlikely inspiration. So you also want to follow content outside of your niche, outside of your industry. You always want to be on the lookout for other ideas, whether it's from news or TV or even just talking with your friends. Sometimes you're going to get an idea on another topic that you can use in your content. And since you found it outside of your niche, you're less likely to be copycat about it, because you don't want to be just another carbon copy of another person in your market. Instead, you want to be the one that really stands out for your unique ideas. I think about Virginia Kerr with this. If you don't know Virginia, she is a video strategist and a storyteller, and she found this out the hard way. During the lockdown, she started making TikToks and found that she was doing pretty well at them. She was talking about marketing strategies, but she got a little too inspired by other people that were doing the same thing. So much so that she copied another content creator a little too closely. And the other TikToker called her out publicly. Embarrassed but not deterred, Virginia removed the copycat material, and she vowed that she would never make that mistake again. And she found her inspiration elsewhere. And since doing so, she really found her voice. She found a new style of storytelling from her childhood. And this new style is so unique to her. She developed standout characters like the waitress from People Pleasers Express to teach others the right way to convert customers with video. So how can you take action with unlikely inspiration? Where can you find new creative ideas for your content? How can you be inspired from your history, from your family, from movies, from novels, and from places outside of your market? Next, you want to branch out. So another way to stand out is to see what the younger generation is doing and see if you can be the first in your industry to actually try something new. Stake your claim early on new platforms. So someone who has done a really great job of this is Gary Vaynerchuk. Now I know I already talked about Gary V, but when it comes to content creation, he is kind of the king. Gary Vaynerchuk always jumps on the newest platforms. Snapchat, he was there. TikTok, he was there. And now, while Gary does have a team, he actually suggests that you use maybe like 2 to 3% of your time to actually go out and try new platforms. See if you can get your content to work there. See if you can kind of find something there, and then use your other time to do what you normally would. And then eventually, if that place becomes the new hot thing, you already have a foothold there and you can already stand out. So how can you take action and stand out with new platforms? Have you branched out from Facebook? Maybe dipped your toes into Instagram or maybe even TikTok? Especially if you are trying to reach a younger audience, you may want to take time to discover some of these other platforms. Now, I'm not saying ditch all your efforts on what's working and go try someplace new completely, but maybe take Gary's advice and maybe take 2 to 3% of your time and try another platform out. The cool thing is that other people in your industry may not be there yet, and so this really gives you the opportunity to stand out. And last, number 10, we have try something new. Make a point to consistently try new things. Your content can always include something that you just haven't tried before, and you may hit a novel or unique way to do things that no one else is doing. Someone that does this fantastic is Dan Thomas over on Instagram. Now, if you're on Instagram, you are likely to find all kinds of people doing similar reels, teaching the same things, doing the same meme style viral reels. But Dan does things a little bit differently. Images of him, chainsaw in hand, bright ketchup and mustard branding, and hilarious scenarios teaching you how to succeed, not just on Instagram, but in business in general, really have him standing out. So how can you take action and stand out by trying something new? Stay open-minded and be on the lookout for ways that you can be unique. Try to gain an understanding about what makes you unique and what makes you stand out from others so that you can play into this and get this more into your content marketing. If you're looking to stand out, then content marketing offers a bazillion ways for you to be unique. How can you take 1 or 2 of these ideas and stand out in your niche? How can you find your voice and get more personal? Be a storyteller, be more specific, be a know-it-all, learn brainstorming techniques for more ideas, be controversial, find unlikely inspiration, branch out and try something new. If you found value from this video, why not subscribe so you don't miss another video?